You know, my personal philosophy around contracts and signing young players is to get on it as fast as you can. The Maple Leafs during this rebuild, they really screwed that up by not getting on their young players and not being harder on the contracts the franchise wanted, and at the very least meeting in the middle. So the way that I look at this is it's almost always a benefit to get on a contract negotiation. That's the way I look at it. You know, some people have the old adage of, well, hold on, you can wait. You can just wait and then you'll see what will happen and you'll wait, there'll be no big deal. I don't look at things that way. I never have. I think that that's a bad strategy. I think it's a silly strategy, and I don't think that it works out in most cases. Some cases you guys can point to, I know, but in most cases it doesn't. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about Ivan Demidov in this video too. But guys, welcome back to Pixel Plus Hockey. If you could make sure to hit that subscribe button, it would be so greatly appreciated. And thank you so much to those that are already supporting me. I'm so close to 1,000 subscribers, so thank you guys so much. And listen, not that long ago, Marco D'Amico did say that, listen, Lane Hutson and the Montreal Canadiens were clearly not rushing. They weren't rushing. They weren't even really negotiating. I had the stance, consistent as ever could be, that that is not a good take. I don't think that's a good take. I don't necessarily think you need to rush necessarily, but you need to say, okay, this is the point we are starting contract negotiations. Now, maybe the contract negotiations take 2 months. Maybe they take 4 months, but at least if you start it at a certain point, it will end at a certain point. Do you understand what I mean? So, like, you might as well just start it. I don't necessarily mean you need to rush, but I want them to get on this. This is why this update from Marco D'Amico is excellent, and we're going to jump right into it with a very interesting quote. We'll get this out of the way right now. Sources indicate that both parties are in very good place and feel confident a deal will eventually get done. The Hockey Insider wrote, RG Media can confirm that contract discussions are currently ongoing between both parties, but that the sweet spot in terms of term, AAV, and has not been found yet. The article continues. An NHL source told D'Amico that both parties are in a good space and there's a good amount of mutual respect, but just very little rush from either party, close quote. Okay, so again, as I said, I understand the rush part. The biggest thing that I'm going to be looking for is what is the term and the dollar going to be. We know that, Noah Dobson got 9.5 on a long-term contract. You know, how much better is Lane Hutson? And can you get him around that number? I mean, my take is very simple with this. If you can get him around that number on a long-term contract, and my take is this: that you're gonna want to buy UFA years. Okay, UFA years are the most expensive to buy. So if you can buy 2, 3, or 4 UFA years, whatever it might be, on a long-term deal, that makes a lot more sense. They are able to sign him still to an 8-year deal before the new CBA comes in, and then they'll only be able to sign him to 7 years, might I add. So again, that could be another reason to say, listen, we'll pay you more just to get him on a long-term deal. I generally think that long-term deals make sense because the cap logically will always go up. And let's add another thing here, that's a cap estimation. There are some people that actually believe that the cap is going to go up even more than the estimation. So let's say you sign him to, I don't know, let's say he takes like 10 or something, like, we'll just say 10 million. The cap will go up even more and more and more, and they can get him on 7 or 8 or 8 years. That would be perfect for the Montreal Canadiens. Now, I'm going to put this as question of the video. Do you think that Lane Hutson will get more than Noah Dobson? I think he is. I think the Habs are going to be smart with this. I think the Habs are going to sign the player long-term. I think that long-term contracts have worked out with them. You know, Nick Suzuki, who has a beautiful contract. If you believe he is a top-pair offensive defenseman that's going to give you between 60 to 75 points on your back end, I mean, you kind of want to sign him as long as you can, if you understand what I mean. Now, shifting gears away from this, I certainly wanted to talk about young players and star players and how they always will have a say in who they play with, depending on who they want to play with. At the end of the day, if you're a Matthews, if you're a Nick Suzuki, if you're a Connor McDavid, if you're an Ivan Demidov, wink wink, and you're a star level player, you're always going to have say in who you play with. And we're getting some really big indications of who Ivan Demidov may be playing with, and why I may not actually be a huge fan of this, at least in my opinion. But I'm excited to hear your opinions on this as well. Because a big thing is going to be who exactly Ivan Demidov plays with this next season, and it's pivotal because you need this guy to develop properly, okay? You don't want to put him with somebody that doesn't play the right way. Now, we have an interesting quote here. A hint on young Ivan Demidov's line mate. Patrick Laine and Ivan Demidov duo to start next season. All signs point to the case. Laine and Demidov have been training together consistently since the end of last season, making special plays with each other, and they are clearly developing some great chemistry, close quote. I don't like this in my opinion. I would like to see Demidov play with somebody different. I want him to play with a full calorie player. I have defended Patrick Laine. I have. I think that he is a useful player. I don't want him playing with the most important player that the Montreal Canadiens potentially could have. Ivan Demidov, I think, has the potential to be the next Kucherov. I don't want him to be playing with any kind of empty calorie player. That does not mean I don't think that Patrick Laine is good. He is. He's valuable to some degree. I wonder if Zachary Bolduc might make sense. If they could switch around the wings or something like that. I just think that that type of player with Demidov plays in the guts of the game. I think that that would help him develop a lot better, if you understand what I mean. Maybe with Suzuki or something like that, or at least playing half of the time with Suzuki. You know, he's probably going to have to play with Kirby Dach as well, because the reality is that, you know, they just didn't get the second line center that they wanted. It's just the reality, okay? So anyways, guys, I am going to leave this video here. If you can make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate that, guys. And make sure to have a great day. Goodbye, guys.